Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am Nick from Australia. We are exactly 3 weeks away from State of Origin 1 kicking off. It's going to be absolutely magnificent. I am really looking forward to it. 3 weeks away from Origin 1, 21 days to go, and we will have State of Origin football. So I thought maybe it's time to put together my New South Wales and Queensland Origin team for Game 1. Now, this afternoon I've spent a fair bit of time going through my New South Wales 1 through to 17 and my Queensland 1 through to 17. So I thought, why not do a video on my State of Origin team for Game 1 for New South Wales and Queensland. So I've got the 1 through to 17 ready to go, plus the 4 reserve players. So let's get into it, man. So I'm going to start off with the New South Wales Origin team that I've selected for Game 1. So here we go. The Nick from Australia, New South Wales, State of Origin team for Game 1. If I was the head coach, fullback and captain, James Tedesco. On the wings, Brian To'o and Josh Adokar. In the centres, Tom Trebojevic and Latrell Mitchell. In the halves, 5'8", big one, Jerome Luai. Halfback, Nathan Cleary. The front row, I have gone with Payne Haas and Junior Paulo. The hooker is Damien Cook. The second row of Tyson Frizzell and Angus Crichton. The lock, another one that's been talked about a lot, Isaiah Yeo. And on the bench, my jersey 14, my utility player, Ryan Pappenhausen. The other players I got for the bench, Daniel Saifidi, Regan Campbell-Gillard, and Cameron Murray. That is my New South Wales State of Origin team for Game 1, my 1 through to 17, and my 4 reserve players. So my 18th man, I've got Victor Radley, along with number 19, Cody Walker, number 20, Paul Vaughan, and number 21, Clint Gufferson. So I'll go through the team real quick and I'll explain why I've got players in position. So fullback, Tedesco, it's a no-brainer, man. He has to be the team. He's the best fullback in the game, he's one of the best fullbacks in the game, and I believe he'll be the captain. Wingers, Brian To'o and Adokar. Brian To'o has been probably the best winger so far this year, and he's playing very well at the moment, so I think he deserves to get an Origin crack. The other one is Adokar, no-brainer, does the job, and he is a elite winger. Centres, Tommy Turbo and Latrell Mitchell. Now, Tommy Turbo, I think he's played centre in Origin a couple times, and he's always been dynamite. He's done the job, so you've got to have Tom Trebojevic in the team somewhere, so I've got him in the right centre. Left centre, I've got Latrell Mitchell. He returns this weekend. He's got 2 or 3 games to prove himself. I think he'll play left centre. Him and Adokar could be a very lethal combination, so I've got Latrell. In the centres, in the halves, look, I think it's all about combinations, building combinations from club level, bringing in the Origin as well. It can be a really good thing. I've got Luai at 5'8", I think, and Nathan Cleary at halfback. I think Luai at 5'8", he brings that X factor. He can run the ball. He can also control the game as well if he is needed to. So I think Luai is the perfect halves partner for Nathan Cleary. The halfback is Nathan Cleary. It's a no-brainer. Best halfback in the game, best player in the game. It's up to you guys what you guys think about that, but he is a great player and he has to be the number 7. The front row of Payne Haas and Junior Paulo. I mean, Payne Haas, we all know how good of a player he is. He's a damaging front rower, and even though the Broncos are in the bottom 4, he has been outstanding for more years. So he's in the front row along with Junior Paulo, and he is, again, another elite front rower. He's a quality player. He does the job every week, so he makes the side. Hooker, Damien Cook. It's a no-brainer. Probably the best hooker in the game at the moment. He is a world-class dummy half, and he always does the job for New South Wales. The back row, Frizzell and Crichton. Frizzell, we all know how good of a player he is in Origin. He always does the job, and he's a very loyal player, and he's always very good. So he's definitely in the team. Along with Angus Crichton, probably the best player from New South Wales last year. I thought he was outstanding, and he will be there once again, I think. He's been playing really well, so he makes the back row. And the lock, in my opinion, the best lock in the game at the moment, Isaiah Yeo. He's been playing really well all year for Penrith, hasn't done a thing wrong. And like I said, combinations are very important. Luai, Cleary, Yeo around the middle of the field. It's very dangerous, and they haven't lost a game all year, so I think it makes sense. And on the bench, jersey 14, come on the field and just come on and play anywhere. Ryan Pappenhausen, man, he's a freak of a player, and I think he'd be great as that jersey 14. Come on and just play anywhere, I guess. The 2 front rows that come on for Haas and Paulo when they run out of gas is Saifidi and Campbell-Gillard. Now, Saifidi, he's been good for Newcastle most of the year, so he's got to be in the team somewhere, and I got him on the bench. And Regan Campbell-Gillard, I mean, that other front row was tough to pick. I think he's been playing really well this year for the Eels, and I believe he'd be a good fit. So I've got him in the front row off the bench. And Cameron Murray off the bench as well. Can come on, can play lock, can play back row. He'll always do a job for you. So Cam Murray, he is on the bench. So that is my New South Wales State of Origin team for game one. And I think Victor Radley just misses out. I think it's hard to put him on the bench. You can't put all locks on the bench. It just doesn't make sense. So Radley just misses out. Cody Walker and Luai. Look, I've got Luai there, but Cody Walker, I think he'll be in the squad somewhere. Paul Vaughan, he's been playing great for the Dragons literally all season. So I got him as a backup front rower in case of an injury. And the last player I got is Clint Goverson. I mean, he can cover anywhere in the backs in case of an injury. So that's my New South Wales team for game one. Now let's get into the Queensland team. So we'll go through there, 1 through to 17. And fullback, I've got Kalen Ponga. On the wings, Kyle Felt and Xavier Coates. In the centres, Dane Gagai and Valentine Holmes. In the halves, 5'8", Cameron Munster. Halfback and captain, Daly Cherry Evans. The front row of Christian Welsh and Tino Fulsula Malawi. The hooker, this is the big one here, Reid Marnie. The back row of Kurt Capewell and David Fafita. The lock is Jai Arrow. And on the bench, Harry Grant, Jared Wallace, Joe Offering Gowie and Felice Kafusi. That's my Queensland team. 1 through to 17 and the backup players. So 18th man, I've got AJ Brimson. 19, Jaden Sewer. 20, Moe Fodawaker. And 21, Will Chambers. You never know. But I will go for the team real quick here. So Kalen Ponga at fullback. It's a no-brainer. He's probably the best fullback Queensland have to offer. So he's got to be there somewhere. So Ponga's got to be the fullback. The wingers, Felt and Coates. Kyle Felt's been knocking on the door for State of Origin for Queensland for so many years now, and I think he deserves to get a crack, and I think this might be the year. So Kyle Felt definitely needs to be there, and his kickoffs, and he's a great finisher in the corner. I think he's got to be in the team somewhere. The other winger, Xavier Coates, hasn't been in great form, but he was so good there last year. I think they'll stick loyal. I would have Xavier Coates in the team. Centres, first bloke, Dane Gagai, probably was a little bit down last year. Wasn't the best. I mean, he had one or two good games, but he wasn't good for all 3 games. But Dane Gagai's always going to be in the team, so he's in the centres. The other centre, it's a bit of a controversial one, Valentine Holmes. Look, if you're picking Tom Trbojevic for New South Wales as a fullback in the centres, I can't see why Val Holmes can't play centre for Queensland. I know he isn't as good as Tom Trbojevic, and he hasn't got that, the attributes as Tom Trbojevic, but Val Holmes, man, he's a finisher, and if you put him with Kyle Felt on one of those on the right side of the field, that could do something special together. So hopefully they do that. But I've got Val in the centres. In the halves, 5'8", Cameron Munster. It's a no-brainer. He was outstanding last year in the decider. So Munster, best 5'8" Queensland have got. So he's a no-brainer. Halfback and captain, Daly Cherry Evans. Now, first couple of weeks of the season, you would have said DC has been terrible, but ever since Turbo's come back, Manly's been really good. So DC's form has picked up. So he's the captain and he's always going to be there. The front row of Christian Welsh and Tino. Now, obviously no Josh Papali due to suspension. So that opens the opportunity for someone else. But Christian Welsh, I think he deserves to be in the front row. He's an elite front rower and a quality player. So he'll be there. Along with Tino Fulsula Malawi. He's been playing lock front row all year. Not much difference between either position. So I've got Tino in the front row with Welsh. The hooker, controversial, I know, Reid Marnie. Look, Reid Marnie's been probably one of the best hookers of the season so far. He's been outstanding. He's a tackle machine, and I think Harry Grant's better off the bench. I'll get to that soon, but Reid Marnie, man, great form all year. I think he needs to be starting, so I've got him as the hooker. The back row of Kurt Capewell and David Fafita. Now, I'll start with Kurt Capewell. I've got him over Kafusi. Look, Kafusi for mine, he's been very on and off so far this year, and you've got Kurt Capewell on the other end. He's been very good. We saw what he did in Origin last year in the centres. You put him in his natural position in back row. It's a lot better. It's a better balance. So Kurt Capewell in the back row for mine, along with David Fafita. We all know what a player Fafita is. He's an elite back rower and a quality player. He's going to explode in Origin this year. So got him in the back row with Kurt Capewell. The lock is Jai Arrow. Jai Arrow, man, he's been coming off the bench for South Sydney majority of the season. But with Josh Papali out, I think it opens the door for him to start. So Gyro in the starting side, I think, would be a great idea. So I've got him at lock. And on the bench, jersey 14, I've got Harry Grant. I think the rotation with Reid Marnie and Harry Grant would be a good one. You start Reid Marnie for 30 minutes and then you bring Harry Grant on, and he's coming on up against tired fours and he's exploding. We all saw last year when he came off the bench in game 3 how good he was, and I think it's a better option for the Queensland. So Harry Grant to come off the bench along with Jared Wallace off the bench. I think Jared Wallace has been outstanding this year for the Gold Coast. The Gold Coast have been up and down, but Jared Wallace has been good all season, I reckon. So Jared Wallace, he deserves to get an Origin recall, so I got him on the bench. Along with Joe Offering-Gowie from the West Tigers. He's been in great form all year as well for the Tigers, especially the last month or so. He's been playing out of his skin. So Joe Offering-Gowie makes the bench. And the last player I got is Felice Kafusi from the Melbourne Storm. He might be a bit of a grub and push the boundaries here and there, but he's got so much experience and he's got to be in the 17 somewhere. Whether you start him in the back row or you put him on the bench, it's up to you. But I think he's better off on the bench. I think his impact could be good. So that's my 1 through to 17 Queensland team. Now, the players I've got for reserves in case of injury or something that goes on during Origin camp. 18th man, AJ Brimson. Now, some would argue he could be in the 17 somewhere, but I just don't see him in the centres, man. I just don't know how he would go in the centres. I think, you could argue with that same statement with Valentine Holmes, but Val Holmes has got much more experience, and AJ Brimson, I wouldn't be surprised if he was in the team somewhere, but I've got him as 18th man for now, a bit like Victor Radley. I don't know if they'll be in the 17, but I've got Brimson as 18th man for now. Next player I got Jaden Sewer. Now, a bit like the Queensland, a bit like the Blues team, I don't want to put all locks on the bench. I don't want to put all back rows on the bench with Queensland either. So I think Jaden Sewer, it's been solid for South Sydney, but hasn't been incredible. So I've got him as a reserve, along with Moe Fotuaika. Now, Moe Fotuaika hasn't been amazing, but he's a solid player, and we all saw last year that he wasn't ready for State of Origin level just yet. So maybe put him in the squad again, but don't play him in the 17 just yet. And last player I got, Will Chambers. Now, Will Chambers could be a call-up, but he hasn't been in great form ever since he came back and played for the Sharks. So I've got him in the 21, but I don't think he'll play in the side. But guys, they're my New South Wales and Queensland State of Origin teams. Let me know in the comment section below what your State of Origin team is. Let me know in the comments below what you think about my Origin teams. Anyway, guys, I'm getting out of here. Make sure you guys go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And make sure you guys like the video as well. And comment your thoughts in the comments below. But, guys, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next one.